gentlemen, to the Manchester, England edition of Monday Night Raw. Well, this was actually a pretty good show, but it leaves you with a lot of questions that either you're going to be happy with or you're not going to be happy with. The opening of the show, you see 4 people stating they're the one who's running Raw because, as the old adage goes, the cat's are away, the mice will play, and then you see the Kane, the Brad Maddox, the Vicky Guerrera, and the Randy Orton all stating that they are the ones that will do whatever they want on the show. Was this a good concept to a point? Yes, because of what happened later in the night with Brad Maddox and Kane, and I'll give my thoughts on that in a minute. But in the end, nobody could make a clear decision until Vicky's the one who said, hey, I got a great idea. Why not sign off on Randy Orton facing the Rhodes Brothers in a 2-on-1 handicap match? Reason why? Brad Maddox said Cody, Kane said Goldust. Here's the problem. It felt SmackDown-esque. In other words, a little hint of SmackDown. Right now, from what I can tell, SmackDown is the more better show at the moment. I haven't really seen much of SmackDown. I mean, I saw a couple of episodes in the last couple of weeks. But really, I'm not watching it all together. But from what I have seen, the show has really been not too bad. And the question here is, are they trying to take a little taste of SmackDown and throw it on Raw? Because Raw's ratings, even though are not bad, they kind of are stagnant when it comes to doing something. That's how I felt about it. Now, the match was not bad, and there was a countout. Orton lost. He didn't want to get back in the ring. But I felt everyone kind of lost because the Big Show came in and demolished Randy Orton. Now, even though the crowd, and I have to say, there is a big difference between the UK crowd and the American crowd. I'm an American. I love the Stars and Stripes. I'm proud to be an American. But when it comes to wrestling, American fans in certain areas suck when you're doing a live show. And other places, they're not too bad. Unless you go to an area in New York, Pennsylvania, or Chicago where it's really strong. Anywhere else, you never get a very strong crowd. You have to use canned heat. You didn't need it in the UK because in many cases, they're way stronger fans than we are. And I wish to say it was wonderful to hear that throughout the night. But here's the problem. I would have rather seen Big Show come back the week before Survivor Series. For the simple fact, it would have been more impactful. Make sure he's gone for about a week, and then it would have felt more stronger that way. Bringing him back this early after he got his ass handed to him by the Shield and Randy Orton was too soon. And I felt it just didn't have the same impact it should have if it was about a week later. 2 weeks later, not a week later. Sorry about that. 2 weeks later. Now the next thing we got a chance to see was Los Matadores and Santino versus the Union Jacks. I'm sorry. If you saw 3MB dressed in the Union Jack colors going up against Los Matadores and Santino, you would say, dude, they should actually keep the gimmick because they kind of look better as Union Jack than they do as 3MB. And the problem here was they were never presented very well. They had a moment, a short moment, where they could actually get over as heels or faces, and they didn't do shit with them. Their comedic attitude hasn't been shown. They're barely seen. It's just shit. But when you saw them in the new colors, and you saw them with the new name, you're saying, I actually could be interested in seeing them as Union Jacks. But the problem here, they're not going to do it again. If they do, I actually might be interested in seeing the Union Jacks instead of 3MB. But as you can see, the Union Jacks lost. It was still funny. It wasn't bad to see. But I actually enjoyed the change up for 3MB. And seeing that it was obvious that Drew on 3MB is the most best talent on the entire group. Seeing him do a kip up was actually very good. I would rather see this than the 3MB boring thing. Now, the next thing, which I felt was, sad. Curtis Axel versus Dolph Ziggler. Look, you don't have to be a big fan of Dolph to know that he's a very good jobber. I mean, he jobs very well. He makes anybody he goes in the ring with very good. And there's the problem. You see, when you look at Curtis Axel, great talent, could actually get somewhere. But he basically has been buried by the CM Punk and Paul Heyman feud. And I'm going to get to Paul Heyman in a few minutes. But when you really look at it, it looks sad that they could have done something more with him. They could have let him stay with Paul for a little bit, but really promote him more. Let him have his own promo segments. Let him have more than what they've been showing, but we haven't seen it on Raw. And for what I understand, it isn't that prevalent on SmackDown. So when you see the match, which was actually, to me, that was pretty much the match of the night for me. I mean, all the other matches were great, but that was really the damn best match that was there on the card. And there were 10 matches in this card. But it just really didn't get anywhere. What does this mean for Curtis Axel? Nothing. It would be better to let Curtis drop the strap to Dolph, because Dolph needs it now. He's been a face for a little while, and the best chance for him to really get over even more and could progress him up the card even to the World Championship would be for him to win the IC title. Do I believe that's going to happen? No, but that's what I believe would be best for them. Now, the match that I believe is really building somebody is Damien Sandow versus Kofi Kingston. Good match. Damien wins. But this is where I see the benefits of this building. For TLC, I want to see a Damien face a John Cena. I want to see this feud. I do not want to see ADR. ADR has to keep Damien Sandow away from John Cena long enough to build enough credibility so when he goes up against him, it'll be something. And that's the only reason why I'm alright with this match. I could say it was an alright match, and I don't really care, but I do care. Because Damien is a way more interesting feud with John Cena than ADR, because we've seen it so many times. And since I talked about ADR, John Cena versus Real Americans. It upsets me to see Real Americans still being put against the grain. Zed sounded good against the Union Jack crowd of the UK in Manchester, England. He sounded good, but I really believe that they should turn face. It was an okay match, but I didn't expect Real Americans to do anything great here. But you could see, dealing with Antonio Cesaro, with John Cena, they complement each other so well in the ring. They actually got good chemistry. Unlike Jack Swagger and John Cena, where you can see it's not as good. Antonio Cesaro and John Cena have good chemistry. They're both big guys, they're both power guys, and you can see they can actually make it work. In the end, what did we get? ADR coming from commentary to kick the ass of a John Cena, and a Biggie Langston came out to interfere with that. I'm so glad to see Biggie getting big spots. I mean, it's kind of funny to say big and big, but this is good to see someone being given teases of progression. ADR versus Biggie Langston. Biggie had the job because you're not going to let ADR job here. You're not. But now he's gone up against the US champ, and he's gone up against a former world and WWE champ. It's good to see this for Biggie. He did a good showing and the crowd were behind him. This is how you begin to build new stars. As I said before, let John Cena stay in the world title scene. Let other people start getting progressed up the card. Let them get built up. So when John Cena has to leave that title to go back into the WWE title scene, which he will, you'll have something substantial for the world title scene. People who have to deal with Randy Orton, deal with John Cena, deal with ADR, deal with anyone else that's near main event quality will give us something more. That's what I'm hoping for. Biggie Langston has the potential. He could easily get the IC championship in 6 months. Easily. And he should. I would say the US championship, but I really believe someone else should get that title. I do. But the IC championship shouldn't be far from him. Now, a match I really don't understand and don't care about. Tamina versus Nikki Bella. Well, actually, I do understand it. It's for Total Divas. It's obvious. Now it looks like Nikki is the one who's going to get the shot at the Divas Championship. It's obvious. It's coming. They've already done Brie already. And in the match, and I'm going to defend the Divas here. I'm even going to defend the Bellas. I am not a fan of the Bellas. I'm not. But when you come down to it, one problem when it comes to fans is that when they get something good to chant about, they stick with it. And that could be good, and it could be totally bad. The Divas did a decent job in the ring. They've been doing decent jobs in the rings for the last month, at least. And the problem here is the crowds have been doing the stupid chant, chanting everybody else, but barely talking about the Divas. Barely chanting for the Divas. The last time the Divas had a match, and that was last week, was not a bad match. SmackDown or Raw. And the problem here is that the crowd just want to chant other people's name. They even want to chant themselves, saying, we are awesome. And this is where I think they just go a little too far. Look, I can understand if the match is totally boring, but if it's at least half-assed good, show it. Care. But they won't do that. They just want to do the stupid chant. And I'm not a big fan of the Bella Twins. I'm not. But I am going to defend them that Nikki did a good job in there. And I kind of hope that she's wearing a shin guard from now on under her new leg covers, leggings, or whatever. I'm hoping she's wearing a shin guard because if she messes herself up again, she'll be gone. And I just don't want to see anybody hurt. I'm going from there. Now, Ryback versus R-Truth. How the mighty has fallen. Oh my gosh. Ryback was so dominant. And R-Truth wouldn't even come close to him. But in the end, Ryback's going like this. He was here when he went to Nexus. When he came back, he was going up like this. Going straight up our asses. Then he started losing it. Went here. Then faced John Cena. Now, went to China. Got some shrimp lo mein. And has not come back. The man is gone. He's finished. Unless they turn him face with what I believe I'm about to state next, they should just take him off TV. He lost to R-Truth. Now, you could say this could be a feud for him and R-Truth, but it's stupid and not going to happen. But this could be a feud for him that could turn him face. The Paul Heyman segment with Curtis Axel in the ring. Seeing Paul Heyman bury a Ryback made me think that maybe next week Ryback will be facing Curtis Axel because he's not a Paul Heyman guy. Of course, we already know what happened with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. I'm going to say that in a few minutes. But when you really look at this, Curtis Axel could actually go up against a Ryback. And then Ryback could actually get the IC Championship for a short amount of time. That's later, not now. Not even close. I'm not saying it. The best person to get the IC Championship will either be Dolph Ziggler or Biggie Langston. Neither one of them I see is going to happen in the next month or so. So a Ryback getting it would be dumb. Ryback needs to turn face first. I don't see nothing good. But when you see that little bit of Paul Heyman putting over Ryback in that position, that would be the best way to turn him face. And I'm kind of hoping either on SmackDown or on the next Raw we'll see that. And at the end of that conversation, Paul Heyman got his ass handed to him by a kendo stick with CM Punk on it. The crowd loved it. And I have to admit, it wasn't bad to see that man on his back going, getting that whipping. But it did what it needed to do. That's how I felt about it. Finally, I believe that's all the matches. Did I forget anything? Fandango versus Tyson Kidd. I'm glad to see Tyson Kidd back. And this also could be a very good feud. Because they're tying it in with Total Divas. What happened with Fandango and... I've seen the little snips of Total Divas on this. And I caught some of Total Divas. I really didn't care about that last episode. But seeing this actually can become a very good feud. Seeing that a Natalya was working and talking with a Fandango and then Tyson Kidd gets jealous could actually make compelling television. And that would bring Tyson Kidd back with something interesting. I'm hoping they tie it properly. I don't believe they will, but this is what I'm hoping for. In the end, Fandango won that match. He did win it. But this could promote a feud, and I might not be totally opposed to it under this situation. The Total Divas show that's coming up next week, because I did see part of it, as I said. I didn't see that there. So next week, it would be smart to tie in an actual feud with the airing of that episode. Do you want to see this? No, not all the time. But if you're seeing objectively like I am, that would be great to drum up business. A reality show showing conflict between 4 people. Because I'm sure that Summer Rae's got to be involved in some way, form, or fashion in actual show. And then bringing it to Raw would actually make it, well, actually it's 3 people. Putting Summer Rae in on Raw makes it 4, and it makes perfect sense. Seeing it in a business standpoint is the smartest thing to do, and I hope they're smart enough to see it. Now that should be the last thing, yes. Oh, except I'm going to say the last thing for after this match. Shield versus Bryan and Punk. Now that was the second match of the night. It was very good. But I'm thinking this. I don't think they have anything for Punk and Bryan to do right now because they're doing the Big Show and Orton feud primarily. That's what they're focusing on. Of course, this still leads to Triple H, but you get my point. I think they put Bryan and Punk on the back burner by putting them as a tag team. I do believe that Bryan and Punk are going to be a tag team and may go after the belts eventually. I believe this is going to happen, particularly how the ending of this entire match happened. Because it was a damn good match. There was no clear winner. There was no bell ringing, nothing. Who came in? The Wyatts came in to interfere with the match. And then the Shield gets very pissed off about it. I felt when I saw this, dude, this would be the perfect opportunity for the Shield to turn face. I'm not saying the Shield is great anymore. They're not. They lost a lot of their power. But if you turn the Shield face at this moment, it actually would make it very interesting television to see the Shield versus the Wyatts. 6-on-6, 2-on-2, 4-on-4. It doesn't make a difference. This could actually happen eventually. But at this moment, they're not going to flip them from heel to face. They got to keep them until the Wyatts are strong enough to take over their position. They did have a nice fight. And at the end, they realized their true enemy was Bryan and Punk. And when it comes down to it, everybody poured out from the back. The Usos and the Rhodes to get into a fight. So, do I believe that we just found our Survivor Series 8-on-8? Wait a minute, no, what is it? 6-on-6, my mistake. 6-on-6 tag match? Yes, we have. The Usos, the Rhodes, and Bryan and Punk versus the Shield and the Wyatts. It's going to happen. We're going to get this match. If it's not announced already on Tuesday, it's going to be done. And I'm alright with that. We need to see sometimes those type of matches. We used to have 8-on-8 matches like that. Or 4-on-4. We don't see that anymore. We don't see it. And I'm glad that there's a good chance that this is going to happen. Now the last thing I'm going to talk about is Kane and the Maddox, Brad Maddox. I believe that it's the best thing to do to put these two together. Kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde or Odd Couple. Not much different from Bryan and Kane at this moment. And I got to say this about Kane. I didn't say it before. Actually, I think I'll save that for debate of the week. Because I have my thoughts on Kane. I got my thoughts on Brad Maddox a little bit more. I got my thoughts on how far they're going to push Bryan and Punk as a tag team. I'll leave that for my debate of the week. So, this is a good show, but it does leave you a lot of questions, like I said. So, I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View. Subscribe and comment to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. And I hope you like the new background I got here. It took me a while to get the stuff I needed for it. I know it sounds like, dude, just get something and just stick it there. But honestly, it's been kind of hard to get the stuff I needed together, and I've been very busy. So, give me your thoughts on this, and hopefully soon I can get myself a new camera instead of this crappy piece of crap right here so you can actually see my gorgeous face, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good day.